Hello, I'm Jack Russell. I had spent 39 years working with Haggard Stocking. I retired 5 years ago, and they asked me to participate in these conversations with Herb, which is, I consider it an honor. You know, I remember my very first conversation with Herb was a telephone conversation. He called me when I was working at a competitor by the name of Central Rubber and Supply, which is no longer around. And he he said to me, he said, "I understand you're looking for a job." And my response was, "Well, no, that's not true. I'm not looking for a job." And he said, "Well, would you talk to me about a job?" And I said, "Well, that's a different subject." And make a long story short, we met for lunch, and then a couple weeks later, after that lunch, I met with Herb and his partner at the time. And lo and behold, I accepted a job, and here 39 years later, I retired, and 5 years after that, here I get to sit with Herb this morning. So thank you, Herb, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. So Herb, I gotta I'll ask you a question that I've wondered about. You know, you were a successful salesman for a nationally known, not industrial supply house, but a nationally known cutting tool company, and you evidently were doing quite well. So why on earth would you want to leave that security and start your own company?
Interesting story. It was a campaign by my wife.
Really?
Right. So, because I was traveling 5 states, I'd leave on a Monday and get back on a Friday, 3 weeks out of the month, and she would put cards and notes in my suitcase. You know, the kids miss you, the kids want this, the kids want that. I was in Connecticut when my middle son was born. It's her fault because she was 2 weeks early. I always told her that. So, but anyway, so I decided that you know what, I would rather have the family. I was with Pratt & Whitney Cutting Tool Company. They offered me a position. What kind of capped it off, they offered me a position as a national sales manager calling on the aerospace industry. And they told me I had to move to Connecticut, no company car, I would live near the airport, and I'd be flying all over the country. Well, I'll tell you what, to uproot my family, take them to Connecticut, and I turned them down. My boss said, "You know, Herb, if you turn this down, you pretty well have ended your career here. You'd just be a salesman." And I said, "Well, that's my choice." So from that, I decided that I better start looking around.
So what were some of your first product lines that you had?
Well, I had 6 and lost 6. What I'm saying, a good friend of mine was Ruby Overton Tool, and I talked to Ruby about it, and Ruby told me that basically he had a friend named Bud O'Connor that wanted to get out of the manufacturer's rep business, and that he wanted to sell his product lines. Being young, green, and inexperienced, I sat down with Bud, and I had an attorney, and Don Wiles was my attorney. Still remember him. He had an attorney. I didn't know his name at the time. And Don Wiles had an accident and hurt his back. He had to back out during the negotiations. So I thought, I'm smart enough to do this. I'll negotiate. Didn't want to spend the money on an attorney. So we negotiated. His attorney drew up a contract, and I signed it. And later I found out his attorney's name was O'Connor. So, what I signed up is the 6 product lines, and I agreed to pay him a percentage over a period of 4 years, 5 years to get started. Well, when I notified the company, he notified the companies that he had sold to me. I notified him that I was there and wanted to meet with him. All 6 of them sent me a letter and said they had previously notified Mr. O'Connor that they were going to make change in representation in the state of Indiana. So all of a sudden, I bought a company with 6 product lines and had no product lines. So I talked to all 6 of them. 4 of them said no. 2 of them, Precision Diamond, Electric Tools, said, "Look, we haven't made any decisions, but we'll give you a chance." And so I started off with 2 product lines. Jan Tyerts was the president of Precision Diamond. He became a mentor of mine. And over a period of years, Haggard Stocking became the largest rep agency for Precision Diamond. Harry Deerwester from Electro Tools. He's quite a character. He says, "Herbie, you can't hurt me, I'm not getting anything." So he worked with me, and we became one of the top 5 agents in the state and the country for the EDM products is what it was. Mm-hmm. And then from there, honestly, I finally sat down with Bud O'Connor at the old shrimp house on the south side and said, "Bud, I've honored this for 2 years, and this is what's happened. I'm not going any further with it. Now we could make a settlement, or we'll have issues." So we sat down, and I agreed to pay him another $30,000 over a period of time, and we wrote the agreement on the back end of the placemat at the restaurant, and we both signed it. And I completed the agreement, and we were done.
Well, I remember Electro Tools and Precision Diamond well. When I first came aboard, in 1981, those were still 2 very important vendors for the company. But after that, you wound up with a partnership with Ron Stocking. How did that come about?
Ron and I, Ron had bought a rep company, Berry Hill, and it was a smaller entity than what mine was at that time. And we both called on Link Belt chain company out in Belmont. And the young buyer there, Max Euler, kept saying, "You're both young, and why don't you get together?" And Max was the type of guy, Ron and I at times would go out and play backyard basketball with Max and one of his buddies. And we'd get beat up, or we'd beat them up, but we had fun with that. And he said, he kept saying, "You two need to join." So Ron and I sat down and said, "You know what? Why don't we consider doing that?" Because I tried to take a vacation one year before that. And try and go on vacation when you're a one-man company and your phone rings all the time. It wasn't much of a vacation. So we got together, and since my company rep lines were bigger than his, I became president, and he became vice president, and that's how we got started.
All right. Now, when I first came to work for you, you were still in Beech Grove there on Churchman Avenue.
Right.
Now, did you have a location prior to that?
Yes, we were up off of, let's see, Elmwood Drive, Gorecki Building. And it's across the street from Kelly Hardesty over there. And we were upstairs on the 2nd floor. On the west corner, we had 3 rooms there. We had a reception, just a secretary area, and Ron had an office, and I had an office. And that's when we had Judy Love was our first employee, and Jeannie Barnett, well, wasn't Barnett at that time, but she was our second employee. And then from there, we moved to down on the Churchman Avenue. Okay. And that was a house in a separate garage. We built the breezeway in between. Right. And the garage was our warehouse.
Yep, I remember that very, very well. Like I said, that's where I first started to work for the company. And then in 1981, you moved here on Victory Drive to what I'm assuming you still call it Building Number 1.
Building Number 1.
Yeah. In those days, we didn't come anywhere close to filling that building.
No.
Not anywhere near filling that building. And now, I don't know how many buildings are in this complex here now. Did you ever envision that it growing to something like this?
No, our growth has been work hard, and you'll have opportunities. We service, and the customer says, if you would provide this, we'll buy from you. If you'll provide this, we'll buy from you. I told people I would never sell grinding wheels. Well, guess what? We sold grinding wheels, because when they say, "Well, we'll give you a blanket order for X dollars," it's pretty good size. We'll buy them from you. Well, guess what?
Here we are.
Here we are. We sell grinding wheels.
I was in the industrial supply business for almost 50 years before I retired. And in those 50 years, I saw companies like, Central Rubber, the company I worked for, Vonnegut, E.A. Kinsey, Kenny Gom, Ace Supply.
Cincinnati Supply.
All of these people, they're no longer around.
Right.
They went by the wayside, but yet in that same period of time when all those people disappeared, Haggard and Stocking flourished.
Right.
Why do you think that? Why do you think?
I think the biggest thing that we have is service in our people. And this, we go back in those days, and we always treated our customer like they were the boss, and we were here to service them. And we grew because we provided competitive products, quality products, and service. I still say, and after going on 53 years here, I still tell our salespeople what we have to offer is service. This is a changing market here, big changing market. It seems like some of these big companies think the billion-dollar companies are better. And you talk about change. When I started in business, the largest supplier and distributor in the country, if I recall, was around 350 million. Okay. Today, the top 22, number 22 is 1 billion, and it goes up to 20 billion or whatever. You know, so we are fighting, always fighting a battle. Some of these big corporations, well, bigger is better, bigger is better. But I tell you what, I don't believe there's anybody that services their accounts like we do, and we're being able to retain. You know, most of it. Have we lost some? Yes, because they were bought out. But basically, we've been able to retain and grow because of our service level and our people. And service is related to the people. If you got good people, you got good service. You got good people that care, you got good service. You got good people that are committed, you got good service. So it really boils down to our people and service. That's the two things. You know, and in this market, we're competitive. We're competitive in the market, you know, and so that makes a difference. And once the supplier or the customer realizes, you know, what we have to offer, the majority of them are very solid customers with us. We've got some customers that have been with us for 17 years, 20 years, you know. We got some at 6 years, you know, the learning we've been able to do that. But yet I feel like we got a bullseye on our back all the time. As of today, we are now the largest privately owned, family owned distributor based in Indiana. Now there's some other distributors, small, around, won't mention their names, but they have branches here. But we are the largest, and you know, it's pleasing to know after 53 years. And sit back, Jan Tires, who I told you was my mentor, when I started, he'd always ask, well, Herb, what do you want? Are you satisfied with what you're doing? And my answer was always no. And he said, well, I want to tell you one thing. You set your goals, it's like looking at the top of the mountain. And once in a while, you got to look back and see where you came from, because that goal, that mountaintop's always going to grow on you. So I guess I'm still climbing that mountain, and I'm not done yet.
That's great to hear. I'm glad to hear that. So not only has the marketplace changed as far as competition, other distributors, but the customer base has changed. I mean, you've seen a tremendous loss of industrial capabilities here in the city of Indianapolis alone. How did you address that?
You just take it a day at a time. I mean, in this business, I think every day is a new day. Every week's a new week. And, you know, we've got some issues now. I'm not going to discuss them on there, but, you know, we're battling with the big competitor coming in and say, whatever Haggard Stocking is selling you, we'll sell it cheaper. Got nothing to do with service. And that's the battle. I just don't understand it. I don't believe how I started, I could do that today, because at one time I gave a talk. We received an award, and I gave a talk that industrial distribution, I think there was 62% were small independent distributors. I don't know what the ratio is now, but I would say it's got to be probably 30%. I mean, we've lost. There's been a lot of distributors sell because they haven't kept up with technology. That's one thing that we've done. We've kept up with technology. We're doing things today that I never dreamed of what we do, or, you know, our IT department, you know, you know, look at this video. We never had video before. You know, we gave out paper flyers, you know, from our manufacturer. we, as an independent distributor in Indiana right now, we can do everything that the big guy can do. We made sure we can. So we're a big little guy.
There you go.
We're a big little guy is what we are. And but service is still our factor.
Yeah, you mentioned the IT department. I don't know how many people work there, and I know computers over the years have become really, really important. But I remember the very first computer the company ever bought.
Yeah.
Well,
if you remember, Jack, computers were something used to take half of a warehouse to put in a computer. Yeah. And when it changed, but I can remember, we traveled. I knew where every payphone was.
Right.
So we all would go to payphone. You go to a conference and there'd be 25 payphones, and we had to wait in line to use a payphone. Mm-hmm. Then they come out with the pager, which is not a pager, but they call it. It's a pager.
Yeah, I remember those.
And it was nice. You could get a text message. And then they come out. People started putting CBs in their car. We questioned whether we put a tower in so we could have communication. We used to never had a fax machine. Never heard of a fax machine.
I was here when you got your first fax
machine. That made a big difference. So technology has really made a difference. I'm not really proficient in a computer, but we have a sizable IT department. Frankly, I call it the black hole because every time they come through the door, they need more money to do something else. And we have an online presence. We have an online catalog. So we have B2B, we have B2C. Never heard of this when I started. So we are a big little distributor, but service is our motto.
So if you could go back and change one thing, what would you change?
Honestly, I can't say what I would change. I'm very excited and very pleased with what we've accomplished. No, I really don't. We've evolved. We used to be primarily a cutting tool, a rep cutting tool. Now we have a material handling division. We have a nut and bolt division. Safety. I think safety is a big area for us for growth, because everybody uses safety. We have several branches, Texas, North Carolina, Florida, Evansville, Fort Wayne. We've attempted to try and buy some smaller distributors, but unfortunately, some of these brokers put visions of grandeur in their heads. What their value is and what they think it is two different things. And we've acquired a couple over the years, but I don't think I would change anything. It's been a great ride. It's been a great ride. I guess if I could say I wish for something, I wish we'd get more ethics back in the industry, because we used to do a lot on a handshake. We used to have exclusives. Right now we got manufacturers that don't even know what the word exclusive is. They'll sell to anybody. And we used to have a number of exclusives. If they buyer called a manufacturer, they say, contact Haggard Stocking. Now they don't. Maybe a few do, but the majority don't. Everybody wants that order. It's money, money, money. So I really can't think of one thing. I can't think of really multiple things, really.
So how long are you going to keep at this?
So I can't find the front door. Or I can't remember where we're at.
You better watch. Jeff might change the lock on you. So.
Well, if he paints the door different and moves the door, I may have a problem. But other than that, no, Jack, I want to tell you this. It's been fun. I miss you.
Well, thank you.
It's been a good time. Enjoy you coming back in. I always enjoy the good news and bad news. The good news is we got a lot of good people that's got a number of years. The bad news is a lot of them are retiring. Yeah. We lost another one this month.
Hey, but that's good. I've picked up a golf buddy, though.
Well, I know, but that's good for you. But we picked up a good replacement. Yeah. We got some. I guess we need some younger people in here.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Appreciate it.